So hi Nick, thank you very much for joining us today and taking the time to be with us. So to start off, can you tell us about yourself and your knowledge management role and what your job title is, please?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I am part of a team of 9, and we are the UK Knowledge and Learning team at the National Lottery Community Fund. My job title is Knowledge and Learning Manager, and in our team we all bring different strengths and skills to the role. And I see my sort of strength and skills being coming from a library background and a knowledge management background. So that knowledge professional role to help understand how to gather knowledge, how to gather learning and make it available for others to use as well. So I'm using SharePoint sites a lot. I'm working with document libraries. I'm working on knowledge management initiatives to try and get people to connect, collaborate, share and support each other, both internally within the organisation, and also we're doing some really exciting stuff externally as well with our grant holders. So that's probably my role in a nutshell.
Brilliant, thank you. And I think you've given us a good definition there of your role. But how would you define knowledge management then? In a nutshell, what would your definition be?
So in at the National Lottery Community Fund, if I can just give a bit of context about what we're dealing with and then how we fit into that. So we are the largest community funder in the UK, and we're awarding over £500 million a year. So just huge amounts of money funding a diverse range of projects. So we're in a really unique position, a very privileged position as well, to try and make the most of that funding, what we're learning from it, to support charities, community groups and improve people's lives. So as a team, we really want to tell the story of our funding and the difference that it is making to these communities. And we want to share that internally to provide our staff with access to the knowledge, like I mentioned earlier, to do their jobs effectively. And we also want to share externally too, to support our grant holders, the sector, and hopefully inform policy as well. So when we're talking about knowledge management, we've created recently what we call the AAA model of knowledge management, just to help us so we know what we're talking about and help us talk about knowledge management to others as well. So the first A is about access. So making sure that we've got the infrastructure and the tools in place for people to access and be able to share knowledge as well. So that's where we've created document libraries and knowledge sharing platforms and stuff like that. The second A is agency, and this is the culture element that we're trying to change internally, building the confidence of our staff to be able to share knowledge and help us create content, making well, ideally to try and make knowledge management part of their role and part of the work that they do. So we've done various simple ideas and initiatives internally, such as RCTs, which lets staff know that it's okay to do these things as well. We also try and get staff involved in content challenges, whereby we'll take a topic. Recently, it was unemployment. So we involve staff in finding out what we know about our funding and our projects in this area, and then share that with the organisation and externally as well. So they take ownership, they feel part of it. It's not us doing it to the organisation, it's all of us being involved. So that's the cultural aspect. And then finally, and important to our team as well, the final A is about adding value. So when we share anything, whether it's a report, if it's a blog, an evaluation from one of our grant holders, we're always trying to add value. We're not just sharing something and saying, look at this, it's great, but we're saying, why it's important, what it adds to the topic, what are we learning from it? How can this be replicated elsewhere as well? So there's lots of, working out loud, and we always say if we've got something wrong or have missed something, then let us know, and we can make changes together, which kind of loops back to that cultural aspect, to show people that it's they're part of it as well. We're responsive. We can't do it on our own. We need the support of the organisation. So that's it in a nutshell, really, Emily.
That sounds brilliant, and I think really just shows the power of knowledge management in a, in that context, and probably in some ways quite a different context to the NHS, but as you say, some similarities as well, and yeah, so definitely some transferable skills, and must be fascinating to see the impact you have in your role now, and look back to the your previous life in the NHS. So, so moving on then, what does good knowledge management look like in your organisation? What would you define as good KM?
So I think there's a few different things. So first of all, the bit that I touched on earlier, that wanting to make sure that people have access to the knowledge to do their jobs effectively, which kind of reminds me of being in the NHS as well, because I used to say that was a lot of what my role was about, being able to provide people with the tools and the resources to do their jobs effectively, whether it's literature searches or evidence-based resources and stuff like that. So there's that element, and also I think the work that the team has done and the foundations that we have laid have created a good environment for knowledge access and sharing, and that cultural aspect as well. Also, within the community fund, there is a real willingness amongst our staff to share and get involved in creating resources. Of course, we can always do more as a team and need to make sure that we keep pushing at this. But they're such a knowledgeable bunch of staff that we really, it is a joy to tap into their knowledge and help create resources together. And as a team, we always model the behaviour we want others to see and copy. Also, I think we do have support from the Chief Executive, Dawn Ostwick, as well. And that top-down support really helps with our profile internally and shows the importance of what we are doing to the organisation. So it's great to have that champion on board. And finally, I reckon good KM for me is that we are an in-demand team too, and we're a growing team, and people want to work with us. They've seen what we are doing and the benefits and how it can support the organisation. So I think we're not just about a funder giving money now. We have so much to learn and share from our projects too, and that's reflected in our culture now also.
That sounds brilliant, and again, I think further shows the the impact you're having, and how KM is making a difference in your organisation. So yeah, fantastic. So obviously we were talking then about organisations. So thinking about sort of structural aspects within your organisation. So which department or directorate, or whatever description you use, whereabouts in the organisation do you sit? Who do you report to as the KM function?
So at the moment, we moved at the start of this year. So we used to sort of sit in a bit of a directorate that I think was just everybody else that doesn't fit into the organisational structure. But now we've moved into the engagement and insights department, with us being the insights element of that. And as a team, we've existed for just over 3 years now. So I still kind of think that we're still a relatively new team, and there was certainly that period at the start where we were trying to understand what we were about, what can we do that will give the most impact, what areas should we focus on, what's been tried before, why hasn't that worked, why didn't it stick, how can we do things differently. So there was quite a long period of working out our groove really, and how we can bring the most value to the organisation. But I think we're definitely there now, and we're a team of 9 as well, based across the whole of the UK, some in London, myself and a few others in Birmingham, and I've got a colleague in Cardiff as well. And we're still growing as a team. We've got some job applications out there at the moment for staff, and another member of staff will be joining us hopefully in the new year too. So I just see all that as a big positive and support for what we've done and also what we plan to do as well.
That's brilliant. Again, that you're expanding and rolling out your team and your expertise even further. So yeah, good luck with your recruitment, and yeah, I hope you get some good candidates to expand your team. And I think actually thinking about the NHS, we can probably relate to the being stuck in a different the anyone else directorate, and then actually sort of finding your home. So I think that's really interesting to know sort of where you sit and how it works practically. So thank you. So thinking then about sort of challenges that you face, what's the greatest knowledge management challenge you face in your organisation?
I think it probably goes back to the point where I was talking about how much funding we actually give out and to so many different projects. So it's it's trying to share knowledge and learning from so much funding. So many of our projects are doing great stuff. As a former librarian, and obviously you'll know about this, you just want to try and help as much as you can and help everybody, but we have to try and be quite strategic and focus where we can on the important themes and the hot topics. Obviously, COVID-19 meant that we had to drop everything and just focus on what we were learning about that as well. So, sometimes we'll get a great project with great learning, but it doesn't quite fit our current projects and priorities that we have on the go at the moment. So the difficulty is trying to park that, but then remember it when we need it, so it's available and we can use it as and when, and just being strategic and having to turn down certain projects because there aren't enough of us to do absolutely everything we would like to do. So that's the difficulty.
Yeah, and again, I think we can probably relate to that challenge in the NHS as well. So yeah, thank you. So so what difference does knowledge management make in your organisation? I think you've already touched on some of the brilliant contributions you've made. So I don't know if you want to just expand on the difference you make a little bit more.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we as a team we do try and work out loud, and we are willing to try an initiative and drop an initiative if it doesn't work and try something else. And we have been getting some great feedback about the stuff that we have been putting out there. So the stuff that we're sharing about what we're learning about our funding. I would love to say that we're also connecting people and projects. We're giving people the knowledge to do their jobs effectively that I've touched on previously. We're celebrating the good stuff from our funding as well as the stuff that doesn't work, because we know that's really important stuff too. And that cultural shift bit is important as well, that we're seeing. It's not about us doing knowledge management as a team, it's about all of us. It's part of their role as well. They're as much a part of it as well. But for us as well, Emily, in this role, it's not just about us looking internally as an organisation. We don't just look in, we look out as well. So externally, with our grant holders, hopefully we're now providing them with really good examples of the difference our funding makes, what works, what doesn't work, sharing what other projects are doing and what everybody's learning along the way. We hope that we're helping the sector as well become more connected and have a better understanding of our funding and impact. And finally, I'd love to think that government and policymakers are looking at what we do too, and how we can influence policy decisions, because we do have an awful lot of learning around some really important topics.
That sounds brilliant, and yeah, as you say, really valuable learning there, and as important to share what didn't work as what did. So yeah, fantastic. And I think you're definitely making a difference just from what you've told me there. So that's brilliant. Okay, so coming then to our sort of final question. What do you enjoy most about what you do, or what's your proudest moment been in your KM role?
So I think, first of all, I really enjoy working with the great people here at the fund. It's, first of all, my team is brilliant, and they offer just the right amount of challenge and support. So it's a really supported role. But working with other people in the fund is great too. They're so friendly, knowledgeable, and they really want to share, to support, and to learn as well. So that makes our job so much easier. And just what they know about such a broad range of themes is amazing. The knowledge that they have, it's just when you talk to them, you can't help but just be energized by the conversations, and just it is really infectious. But my proudest moment is probably this knowledge sharing platform. We call it the Knowledge Bank, which we didn't have before. So there was nothing like that before. They tried various different things, but we created this Knowledge Bank, and I'm not taking sole credit for it, so don't think I am. It was definitely a real team effort, but it was a big project to try and create something that would have document library, thematic topic pages, information about our funding program. Also, we wanted a people skills finder as well, because we know, that tacit knowledge is really important to this organization. And then there was an events calendar as well. So for knowledge and learning events happening across the fund. So to create this and finally have something out there, which, okay, it might not be perfect, but it's certainly something that we can work on and develop where we need to, was a big relief, but also, yeah, very proud too. And I think just one more thing, if I can add as well, is that I think the work that we have done over the last 3 years has meant that as a team, we're in a really good shape to be able to respond to different things quite quickly as well. So again, I've been really proud of what's happened during the COVID-19 pandemic, because we could respond at speed, share internally and externally what we've been learning from our funding over the last 8 months on a whole range of really important topics, such as bereavement, loneliness, homelessness, digital benefits advice, and so much more. These really important issues that had a really big impact on communities everywhere, and we've really really sort of shone as a team during those last 8 months because of the way that we could respond to that, because of the foundations that we'd put in place, really. So that's two things for you there. Sorry, you wanted one.
No, that's absolutely fine. That's brilliant that you've got two things there, and I think just again just shows the impact of your work and the power of KM, and I think within the NHS, I think people will be really interested to hear about that, and the obviously particularly within the NHS we've been very focused on COVID, and I think it's just interesting to see the enormous amount of work that's gone on outside of the NHS as well, and the huge impact it's had, and again the importance of and sharing some of that learning. So yeah, you should definitely be proud of all that work. I think that's very impressive. So brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, Nick. It's been really interesting hearing about your role and what you do, and the similarities and difference between your role in the National Lottery and our roles in the NHS. So thank you very much for your time.
No problem at all. Thank you, Emily.